So we have a presidential election still very much up in the air at this hour. Counts continue in Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Let's bring back tonight's political panel to discuss the state of the race. Democratic strategist Kevin Walling, Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz, and we welcome in Cal Berkeley law professor John Yoo. Welcome to all of you.
Hey, Shannon.
Hey, Shannon. Good evening.
Thanks.
Okay, so as these legal battles are playing out, Tom Friedman with the New York Times said this. He tweets, "In the 2000 election, Al Gore took a bullet for the country. Tonight, President Trump put a bullet into the country. Most shameful thing I've ever seen." He got fact-checked by our own Britt Hume, who said this. In 2000, Al Gore put the country through a 37-day recount process in which he urged the courts to permit recounts only in places where he thought he'd find additional votes for him. If you doubt that, just read the book. His lawyer, David Boies, wrote about it. John, these legal avenues are there. They're available to candidates who think they're winning or losing. That's what the courts are for. What do you make of where we are tonight?
I think that the president has a right to pursue whatever legal options are open to him. But the most important thing, and this is, I'm sure, something Al Gore would have agreed with and was saying 20 years ago, was that we should try to count every valid vote. We're not trying to count illegal votes, but we want to count every valid vote and then do that in a transparent way. And if there are questions, if there is potential fraud or abuse, then you can go to court to vindicate your rights. I actually think right now Donald Trump is actually much in the position that Al Gore was in 20 years ago. And ironically, Joe Biden is in the position, because now he's in the lead in a number of these states, that George W. Bush was in. Biden is the one who's going to want the vote closed down pretty soon once those certified. And it's going to be Donald Trump, like Al Gore 20 years ago, wants to open up those votes, open the process, keep things going, and get more votes counted.
We wait for a number of rulings in courts across the country, including some stuff pending at the Supreme Court. In the meantime, the Wall Street Journal writes this about a 2020 election lesson. It says, a conservative populist movement driven by rural voters wasn't a fluke of 2016, but a potentially durable bloc. Donald Trump, despite presiding over a rapidly diversifying country, used his base to be competitive in most battleground states and to help Republicans outperform in the race for Congress. And Kevin, we noted how he was up with Black and Hispanic voters to new highs for a Republican candidate. What potential trouble do you see on the horizon for Democrats?
Yeah, Shannon, I mean, this is a very divided country. As the vice president has said, he gave a really conciliatory speech, I think, as you saw tonight in Wilmington, saying that he will be the president of all Americans, not just Democrats, because I think he realizes just how divided we are as a country and the fact that he really needs to unite this country. Now, he also spoke about a mandate. I mean, right now the popular vote stands at about 4.2 million more votes for Joe Biden. I do believe that is a mandate. I do believe he'll get somewhere in the neighborhood of what Donald Trump received in the Electoral College just 4 years ago when Republicans said that that was a mandate. So obviously he has the backing of the American people, but he also needs to strike that conciliatory tone to Republicans. You're starting to see some Republicans like Lindsey Graham say, I want to work with Joe Biden, his longtime friend from his days in the United States Senate. So I think you're going to see that tone play out in the next couple of days as we get a clearer picture of this election.
Yeah, both candidates hitting record highs in the vote totals. I want to play something that the former vice president said tonight, since you mentioned the mandate. Here's how he phrased it tonight.
They've given us a mandate for action on COVID, the economy, climate change, systemic racism.
Jason, what do you make about that mandate and how it may play out on Capitol Hill?
Well, he didn't even declare victory yet. He went there to supposedly declare victory, but he didn't declare victory. So I don't know how you have a mandate before you even have a victory. So, I mean, come on. That's a look. Not a single Republican in the House of Representatives lost their seat that was running for re-election. Not even one. Nancy Pelosi lost seats despite promising that she was going to gain seats. They said they were going to take over the United States Senate. That hasn't happened. Two important Senate races in Georgia. Granted, that's there. But they didn't beat Joni Ernst. They didn't beat Susan Collins. They didn't beat Steve Daines. They didn't go and beat all these people they said they were going to do. And Republicans expanded their base with the minority community. Donald Trump and Republicans did great things. And look at the record number of women who were elected as Republicans in the House of Representatives. Republicans had a really good night. It's tough going, tough sledding for Donald Trump, but overall, Republicans did well, and they gained another seat in the governorship In Montana, 27 governors are now Republicans in this country.
And John, in a number of the state legislatures where the redistricting battles will happen, Democrats didn't flip control in those. In fact, they lost a couple. And so Republicans will maintain the upper hand in some of those redistricting battles to come as well.
Shannon, that's a really good point. Sometimes we tend to focus overmuch on the presidency and the Senate. And what we forget is that the genius of our country is made at the state, local level. And you're right, the state houses not only stayed in Republican control, but the Republicans slightly expanded their control, not just of state houses, but states where they have both the governorship and the states. And as you said, we're in the middle. We're about to start one of the every 10 years redistricting, the redrawing of the congressional districts. That's something that has allowed Republicans to have a really strong voice in the House. It happened 10 years ago. It looks like it's going to happen again today. Democratic efforts to stop that have utterly failed.